talking with Tammy here today. Concerns about parents have about the curriculums in our state. And Tammy, introduce yourself, your name, and who you are with.
Okay, so my name is Tammy Nichols, and I currently am the Executive Director for Idaho Education Watch and also the State Leader for Eagle Forum for Idaho. I'm a mother of 5. I grew up in Idaho in the Boise area, and our family has lived here primarily all the time we've been married and have had children. Our children have been born and raised here, so.
Okay, and you have, actually, so first of all, to say or ask, you are from what area here in the state of Idaho?
So currently I live in Caldwell.
Okay.
Born and raised in Boise, and then, we reside in Caldwell currently.
And your concerns as a parent regarding curriculums in our public schools, what are some of the key concerns that you have as a parent? What do you see happening?
So I've been noticing changes that have been happening in our education system for the last 4 years primarily. That's when I first noticed changes occurring. My children have attended the same district since they started school in kindergarten. So it hasn't been because we've changed districts or anything. We've been in the same one. And so about 4 years ago, my one son, who was then a second grader, started bringing home towards the end of the school year information with the terms Common Core on it. And some of the questions it was asking were very confusing to me, very confusing to my husband. And so I took it to his teacher and asked her what we were supposed to do with this and what it was. And she was like, oh, well, this is just a new way that we're going to be teaching the kids. It's just a new concept, and it's called Common Core, and it's supposed to be really great. It's supposed to be really rigorous and expand their knowledge and their thinking. And so I started searching for Common Core, and one thing just led me to another. And the more I researched it, the more concerned I became. And the more it started making sense of the things that my children were learning and bringing home as they proceeded in their grade levels.
Emotionally, how does it impact you and your children knowing this?
So emotionally, for my youngest 2, I have one that is still in elementary school and one in middle school. And even my middle schooler, there are several times where he has just become so frustrated and so confused on what he's supposed to do because his teacher is trying to teach him this one way and it doesn't make any sense to him. And then he brings it home, particularly math, and we're trying to teach him the way that we've always learned it and the way it has always made sense. And he just becomes very frustrated and cries and hollers and just doesn't quite know what to do. So I can tell it's very stressful for him. And my daughter, she has become so overwhelmed with the amount of homework that they're doing and the amount of schoolwork in class. She'll bring home several pages a couple times a month with many missing assignments, and she just feels that she can't keep up. She just can't get it all done, that they just give her too much to do. The reading, she used to love to read, and the reading has just become a trial for her now because there's so much busy work that's done with it. Instead of just being able to read, to enjoy reading, there's all these different things that you have to fill out questionnaires, and you have to write little essays, and you have to talk about the vocabulary words that don't even make sense because some of them aren't even found but maybe once or twice in the whole book. And she brought home with one book in particular, it was a 40-page questionnaire that went along with the book, and she's only in 5th grade. And I can see Anne's asking a few questions here or there just to see if they're getting the gist of the story or the main details. But some of the stuff in it was not necessary. It was just busy work, and it makes her very frustrated because she can't just enjoy reading to read.
So this Common Core problem, this Common Core curriculum and other curriculum in the schools is putting too much pressure on the students there. It's more demanding.
It is,
and
and a lot of the times, you're told or you are led to believe that it's just your child, but then you start talking to other parents and they start saying, no, my kid's having the same problem. And I've had several parents now that are in my daughter's grade with their children that are being told, oh, it's just your kid, and then we start talking and we find out, no, all the kids are experiencing this. And currently right now, all of our 5th graders that are in school together are having a terrible time with math. They've had to start extra math programs for them or have them come in before school or after school because they're all just having a hard time with it, and it's really becoming a problem.
There are a couple textbooks that you have concerns about.
Yes.
And you can show the front cover of one of this is regarding you're concerned about Islam education in the schools. So
this was last year. This was for fourth grade, and fourth graders are supposed to be learning about their state. So the state of Idaho is supposed to be the primary focus for fourth grade, but instead they had Islam. And they were learning all about the Islamic empires of the Middle Ages. And I went through this book, and it talks about the caliphate and the 5 pillars of Islam. It was talking about how great it was and how it was just all these marvels that transpired with it. There were different stories that they had.
okay.
And so there's the caliphate. There was a little book that goes with it that was the reading book, and then this was the workbook that they would use. And they would have words in it like guilty and diverse and integrity and conquest. And so again, these are just fourth graders that are, again, supposed to be learning about their state that they live in, which is Idaho. And instead they're studying countries that are across the world that don't even have anything to do with our state, and they're learning about their culture and their history and the different aspects of the 5 pillars and everything else. No negativity in here whatsoever. There's nothing that talks about the wrongs of how women are oppressed or different things along those lines. It's all really positive and uplifting, and how great it is to be in Islam countries. So,
well, people can learn about this book. Once again, it's titled "Islamic Empires in the Middle Ages," and I guess it's being used in fourth grade. This is
there was myself and a few other parents that complained about it, so they did pull it out for this year, and so we were glad on that. But I know in the high school level also, I had a few parents that contacted me because they were also studying Islam in more detail. And they were spending about 3 or 4 weeks on that topic. And when I asked them if they were going to be talking about any other religions like Christian or Catholicism or anything, the answer from the teacher was no, they spend maybe a day or 2 on those religions. So they spend adequate time on Islam, but the other religions are given just a day or 2.
Well, that can be it's a serious concern, because when they're giving preference to one religion over the other in public schools, that's a serious problem. And there's another textbook that you would like to probably talk about too. It's about sexuality.
So this is a book called It's Perfectly Normal. And here are the people that put this together, and one of them serves on the Planned Parenthood Board, the National Planned Parenthood Board.
Okay.
And so this book was put together for ages 10 and up. We are seeing it go into more and more schools. There's been several different copies that have been done over the last several years, and this is the most recent. The funny thing with this is that they actually sent little excerpts from this book to a prison, and the prison decided that it was too explicit and too much for their prisoners to be able to handle, so they sent it back. But it's okay for 10-year-olds.
Okay.
So, this book talks about there's anything, it's all done in a cartoon manner, and you have different types of people, different body types that they're showing here, and they're all naked. And so as you get into the book, it talks in depth about homosexuality, abortion, masturbation. I can show you a few pictures on there. It talks about your body changing. So here's masturbation. And in here, it says that that some people think that masturbation is wrong or harmful, and some religions call masturbation a sin. But masturbation cannot hurt you, and it does not result in pregnancy or in getting or passing on infections that are spread by sexual contact. So because they're targeting that religions might call this something that you're not supposed to do, they're saying, oh, no, it's okay. If your religion's told you that, then they're not telling you correct things, that it's actually okay because you can't get pregnant and you can't pass on STDs. So there's several different parts in here. Again, it talks about abortion, and again, this is 10 and up. It does show some sexual poses. It talks about, being able to put on condoms. You can see with that little boy there.
Wow.
It talks about all the different forms of birth control that are available. So you have all the different types of birth control that 10-year-olds need. It just kind of goes on and on. Here's all about the laws and rules of abortion.
Okay.
So there's several aspects in there. And again, this is said that it's fine for 10-year-olds, 10 and up. My daughter is 10, and I would never allow her to read this. And it's not the place for the schools to be talking to her about this sort of stuff. That's something that needs to be done on a parent's level. And that's my job and my husband's job to be able to teach her these types of things when we feel it's appropriate. So we don't see that right now in our state. This book in particular is not in our state that we're aware of, but we do have different things that have filtered in that they're talking about homosexuality and gender identity and so on and so on.
Any other concerns as apparently in the curriculum, the problems you see?
So the curriculum that we're using currently in our district is called Core Knowledge, and I really am not happy with that. My daughter, she's kind of been the trial or the guinea pig for it because they haven't had it in our school district for very long, but she's been kind of the brunt of that. Last year in 4th grade, she was asked to write a thesis paper with all the normal aspects to a thesis paper, and it was very overwhelming and very intimidating for her. She even had to type it up. And I talked to her teacher about it because I felt that it was not age appropriate for her at all because she doesn't understand the aspects of a thesis paper. Most college students still don't understand the aspects of a thesis paper until they're doing them over and over and over again. And it was very involved and it was very stressful for her. So the curriculum that I see that we're using right now seems, for the elementary level, seems to be not age appropriate and over many of their heads, especially in the aspects of math and ELA. So I really want to see something that is more curtailed and pulled down to age appropriateness, something that they're going to understand and not get so frustrated with, because like I said, in our school right now, there is just an overwhelming amount of kids that are behind on homework and in turning in their assignments and being able to keep up with things. And I just really feel it's because they have so much stuff to do that their teacher really doesn't have a lot of time to just sit there and make sure that they're getting things done and being able to accomplish what they can in a timely manner, because it's just pushed on them all the time. There's just more and more things for them to have to do because they're following a set curriculum. And so the teacher has to go exactly with what they're supposed to do in the outline, and there's not a lot of wiggle room for them to be able to make that their own and cater it to the students that they have that they're teaching, because not all kids are the same. They don't all learn the same, but yet they're expecting them to.
Well, thank you, Tammy, for once again your name and the organizations you're with.
Yes, so my name is Tammy Nichols, and I'm the Executive Director for Idaho Education Watch and the State Leader for Eagle Forum.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Bye.